morning, friends. What a chart we have today. Let's go over just the key changes in the chart, and then I would like to talk to you about the energy of the chart and the energy of this right here. And I'd like to talk about the inspired energy of the Sentinel. Now first, if you like my work and you love this video, could you please share it? It really, really helps me when you do that, and it helps my work get out to more people. So thank you very much for doing that. Thanks also for your comments. There's just been a lot of great chat in the comment section, so thanks for that. And if you could like the video, subscribe, and hit the notifications, it will help you see, get notified about the videos and see them. So thank you for doing all that. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get into the chart today. So basically, boy, this is some blue, isn't it? That's the key chart change, that the chart is so calm and so blue. In fact, let me look with you at the numbers behind the chart, the black data graphs. And so the frequencies, the white and the yellow had been at highs, okay, at the high end of their ranges here, like the yellow to 15.1 and the white to 8.11. But what's happened is that they had both pulled off their highs. The white resonance made a little reach up towards that and has since dramatically come off. And the red and the green have kind of been bouncing around. The red a little bit more restricted in this range, but unlike a few days ago where it had been really, really restricted, it's been bouncing around out of that range quite a bit more. Now this is what I wanted to show you, that the amplitudes are incredibly low. The qualities are very low, with the exception of the white resonance. The white has been up to, let's see here. I'd say that's about 14, 15, somewhere in there, where it's been peaking. So, but the rest of the qualities have been very low. So what's the meaning here? And I also want to talk about the extended period of the green quality at its highs. The amplitudes being so low and the qualities being so low are most likely what's contributing to the chart being so blue and with the action being just calm. We have this big period here of no data in the chart for several hours. I can only wonder if the amplitudes went to zero of one or more of the resonances at that time. And the reason that I say that is because you can see here the amplitudes at 1.1, 1, 1.4, and 2 at the low end of their ranges in this chart. And I have in my beginner playlist, I have a video that's like, what does it mean when there's a black line or when there's no data? Well, one of the reasons that data seems to be removed from the chart is when amplitudes go to zero. I've just noticed that when that happens, there ends up being that the data is removed and there's a blank space in the chart. The other reason is that the technological effect, I also have a video playlist on that. Many times when there's no data, there has been a technological effect on the chart, and there have been some instances. I wrote it on the written charts, but I didn't talk to it in the videos. But over the last few days where it looked like, there was a question mark in my mind of, is the technological effect back? It wasn't as dramatic and as clear as usual, but given that some of the ways the chart looked, and you can go back and look at that either on my Twitter or on the videos The Twitter charts are downloadable, and I'm going to link the most recent one below. I just wanted to point that out, that it's interesting. I just wonder if the amplitudes went to zero, and a zero amplitude is kind of like a reset of energies. It's as if you had an electric fan sitting on your table and the fan was off. Okay, so the amplitude is the power, and so if there's no power going through the fan, it's not going to blow air, but you can still see the fan. Okay, so that would be like an amplitude of zero. Okay, so the resonances would still be present. It's just that their energy would be at nil. Yeah, so the quality, it's interesting. When the quality gets lower, okay, the quality is like the clearness. And when the quality gets lower or closer to zero, what you have is, I would say a good way to describe this in lay terms is it's hard to put your finger on exactly what that is, okay, on exactly what you're feeling or exactly what you're experiencing. When the quality is high, it's like if you're a human being, it would be as if the truest part of yourself is shining through. Okay, so another metaphor would be in a music note, if there's a dissonance in the note or if the note is coming through very clearly. So let's just address the extended quality here in the green. So one of the things that the green represents, in my view, and the key thing is the human energy of the planet. It seems to really adjust just our basic natures and what's going on for us. And with an elevated quality, okay, that for hours and hours, what could happen is you could basically have a soul retrieval, like a missing part of you could recover. It would be as if for hours and hours and hours you could be at your ultimate best. You know, like where the truth of who you really are shines through so brightly and with ease for yourself. Let's just look at what the amplitudes did right there. See, even here, the amplitudes were raised up a little. Now they were just at 3 point something, so it's not like they're super strong. But but there is energy there. So this happened twice. And, I'm guessing that there are those of you out there who experience you could even call it like a come to Jesus moment, where you have this amazing realization or this stark realization, whatever it happens to be, the positive, the negative, or it could just be a closer connection with God, with your own soul. And actually, this has happened for me in the past few days. So that, I believe, is reflected here. And it's interesting because when the energies of the chart were showing more, I'm looking for the anger. Where was it? Yeah, okay. So here's where I did a video on this and about suppressed anger. And it's interesting because for several days, okay, the qualities were below, were 20 or below, okay? They were really more like in this range, okay? See, 14 to 5 to 14. So we weren't hitting our highs at all for days. And if you go to the suppressed anger area, it's just no highs, really. I mean, just 14 point something. And here's what I wanted to explain, what I think that was about. When you have suppressed anger, okay, if you have a boost in, now I'm talking relating these energies to being a human being, okay, and how these would affect us, because that's what's most interesting for us. And I'm a little bit moving into the energy of the chart here. But basically, if you're super, super angry, or you have very suppressed anger that you haven't expressed, and your qualities peak as a human being, then the outward expression might end up being very dramatic in an unhealthy way. Let's look at what the amplitudes were here. Okay, the amplitudes were actually a bit higher, okay, than they are even right now in the green. So, but not that high, okay, because they're just peaking. They were just peaking around 6 something. So, I think that the qualities being lower, okay, when we were having this anger here, and attacks by the dark forces, and crying, and seeing the terrible things in the world with the white rabbit, and crying out for divine assistance, I think that the lower quality protects us and protected us from acting out in the world. It caused us to be more reserved on a personal level and probably on a societal level. And maybe this is a good thing, okay? Because when people act out in anger, that can get ugly. And it's different than being motivated by anger that kind of resonates with a sense of, divine justice or a sense of the right thing to do. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about because in the chart, these emotional effects, as I discussed at that time, were really not fully conscious, not really brought into the conscious level. So to act from there, I did a whole video on suppressed anger. But to act from there could even be dangerous, or it could be harmful to relationships, to personal relationships. So I think that actually we were protected, we protected ourselves by through this lesser connection with the truth of who we are for that time period. Now let's go back to today's chart. And it's interesting because for both times in the chart that the green peaked, there was a peak in the white resonance. And if we look back a couple days, here, okay, yeah, here's your peak here, but let me go to the day before so we can see the movement of the white resonance there. Okay, so here's the peak. And right at the beginning, you did have a peak in the white resonance. Now, it looks low because it went to 36 later. So on a relative basis on the chart, it doesn't look as big as what's going on, for example, in the yellow. But look, the yellow here is up to 15 plus. And this is 16.8. So the wide range, vertical range of this chart is actually numerically the same on a relatively speaking as this. So you had this peak in white, and then the green peaked towards its highs for hours and hours. Okay, then you had a peak, triple that to 36 in white, and then you had on the current chart the extended peak for a significant amount of time. So this is a significant move in the chart. And the one other thing I wanted to show you on the chart besides this interesting image here is this, transmission. You see all the purples here, but on the day that it happened, look at what the colors looked like. Right here. This was just incredibly beautiful. See, look at these gorgeous colors. It was, there have been vertical lines at 20 that were green, and I explained those as human beings focusing their attention at a particular hertz level of brain waves. But here, this is different, in my view. This is like a divine transmission at a certain level of brainwave, because you have the gorgeous jewel colors, the magenta, the purple, and then surrounded by this, like, I want to say indelible blue. I mean, it's just incredible, the gorgeousness of the color here. And so this is like a divine connection. And it's interesting that we have that going on the chart when the green quality is peaking for hours. So it is like a reflection of us getting in touch with the truth of our own nature in a very human, beneficial way. And we're not yet seeing, okay, that in the chart, except for these extended periods of blue. And the blue extended periods here, and how I describe those are, peaceful, calm, clear, but also, like feeling if you want to attempt to, hold 0 point in your field or generate 0 point or be at 0 point in your field, this is a great time to do that, or to meditate and commune with the divine, to pray and get in communion with God, to connect with your soul. This energy is just a lot easier right now. And the other thing that I wanted to say, and here's that green light, that I was talking about. It had disappeared for a few days, and now it's back. But the thing is that these vertical lines of, more blue that are going across the chart here, one of the things that occurred to me, and I'm just going to mention it because it occurred for 2 days. And then when I reviewed this chart, I was talking to my friend Alex, and it's interesting. I didn't even tell her what I was perceiving, and she came up with a similar observation. It was confirmation for me. But when I saw these lines here, here's the thought that I was thinking, and I called them light blue horizontal lines of transmission. What I was thinking was this. What if you could generate a transmission around the whole globe at certain frequency levels that was, available to human beings? Okay, that's just a thought that I had. And the thing is on the chart, this looks divine to me. Okay, because see the blue color, and I showed you the gems here. And I believe that those brighter gem colors represent an expanded dimensional state, or a depth to the frequencies that's not measurable on the chart, like where we don't have the data, a data set that would measure that. But and then it occurred to me, like the idea of propaganda and transmitting propaganda in various ways, trying to get people on your side or using media to transmit propaganda, and how that's similar to this idea that I had when I looked at these Hertz lines of what if you transmitted a certain frequency across the globe. And it made me wonder, like what is the frequency of propaganda? Like if it showed up on the chart, like what level of Hertz would it be at? And I think that would be a combination of things. It would be a combination of somewhere in a frequency range. It would be a combination of, it would have to have an amplitude, because it would have to be strong enough to grab us, and it would have to, affect our quality somehow, or draw that forth. And more on this later, because I have some ideas on this that are reflected in other articles I've written. So that just occurred to me actually while I was talking to you, to go deeper into this. So, but I don't want to focus on it today, because this isn't the priority in the chart today. Let me go to this. Now the last figure here is this here. And when I first saw this, I looked at it and I thought, this is like a white buffalo head. So you can see here, it's like half of a white buffalo head. And it also has a mirror image. The other half isn't there, okay? And you can see this is where the eye is. And at times when I look at this, and I can see an eye right here. This here is, the sort of dreadlocks that hang off of a buffalo here, and then forming down into its nose. And, you've got the dreadlock effect here, and then its nostrils somewhere in here. And I don't know if the white buffalo is speaking or transmitting, but there's this line of, looks like transmission here. And it's interesting because the white buffalo is up through here. Okay, it's in our unconscious, our subconscious, and just, kind of our dream state, intuitive state, in terms of where it is in the chart, in terms of human brainwaves. But right in here, okay, it starts to break into the alpha waves, and then this is also in the alpha waves. So in a state where we could notice these effects during the day. And it's also kind of like it's just plopped into the chart. Very technical term there, plopped in. But I like to laugh at these things, but it's like it's just boom, a transmission that just, it's like it's standing in the chart. And that really, and like it's really grounded throughout the chart vertically. Now, this is going to lead us to the concept of the sentinel, because this, to me, is a sentinel energy. And I want to talk a little bit about that now. And that will be the inspired energy discussion of the sentinel and what that is about. So in this part of the video, I have taken the white buffalo image, and then I duplicated it so that the mirror image is now visible. And on the chart, the other half of the image was not visible. And that is, in my view, energetically, a reflection of a shadow element, okay? Something beyond our sight. And as human beings, we have a shadow element. And the shadow element is present in the energy of the sentinel. And I thought that this man and the wolf, representing an aspect of his energy or a divine partnership that he has supporting his work. Okay, but the energy of the sentinel is really present in the chart. And a sentinel is, well, the definition of sentinel is about keeping watch, someone who keeps watch, and not just pays attention and keeps watch, that does this for an extended period of time, a long period of time even. And there's a security element to the sentinel's job. Now, I want to talk about the energy and the mastery that the sentinel has. Okay, and I thought that the vertical line below the buffalo head very nicely represented an aspect of what the sentinel does. It's like he or she sends his energy out, okay, or is able to perceive horizontally, so going out in all directions, the surface activity on his part of the planetary domain or her part of the planetary domain. Okay, so the surface level from as far up into the sky as he chooses to perceive, as deep down into the ground as he chooses to perceive, and then across the land in all directions. Okay, so this is, I'm thinking of that movie, The Blues Brothers, right now, and how they, how they wore that is such a fun movie if you haven't seen it, but they wore the sunglasses, okay, and the sunglasses represented the shadow side of their nature, because as they said in the movie many times, they were on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God. But they very, very much used their shadow element to accomplish that mission. I mean, face it, they were rascals. Oh my God, the actor John Belushi was so hilarious. He played the best rascal personality, and so humorously. Okay, but the sentinel is slightly different than that, okay? But the shadow element is there, and the use of the shadow in pursuing a divine mission. So I'd say there's 4 key elements of what the Sentinel is about. The Sentinel has mastered waiting. Waiting is a key aspect of the Sentinel's role. It has mastery of this. He waits in what is essentially a state of 0 point, very much like on the chart today. Okay? He stands grounded throughout his environment. He is grounded and aware, much like the buffalo image in the chart was grounded vertically. How that image appeared in the chart, it's like it just was plopped in, okay? It's like it just appeared and then was gone, right? That's a Sentinel element as well. It's an aspect of his ability to wait. He can wait without being seen. He can be seen, but there's an aspect of whether or not you see him, it is at his discretion, whether he appears to you or not, whether you know he's even there. You might feel the energy, okay, of his sensing the environment. That might be all that you perceive, if you perceive anything. Or you might have the honor of seeing his figure. And if you do that, then if he allows you to see him, then there's an aspect within you that has the same heart resonance. The other area of mastery that the Sentinel has is knowing when to act. You know, the Sentinel holds a staff in his hand. He has a look a bit like the hermit. But whereas the hermit is shining the light outside of him, the Sentinel's light is within. It's the connection with that light that informs the Sentinel of when to act. And when the Sentinel acts, it's swiftly, quickly, dramatically, effectively. The goal is accomplished, and the Sentinel fades back again into the shadow. The staff in the Sentinel's hand reminds me of the line from Psalm 23, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." And what's that psalm about? It's about someone who faces the darkness, and not only faces the darkness, but has to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And the psalm goes, "I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." Why is that? It's because as I, a regular human being, face the challenges of the darkness, okay, whether it's my own darkness or the darkness out in the world, we have hidden protections. We have secret elements that support us, unknown to us. And these secret elements do not need us to acknowledge them, because they support us from the level of soul and soul mission. They have permission to act when they act in our benefit at the soul level. And this is the third. So that's the second. So the first mastery of the Sentinel is waiting, the second is knowing, and the third is mission. The Sentinel is impulsed from the divine within. You can't see the Sentinel's light in this image within him, but you see it behind him, extended out into the environment. For most people, it's disguised. They cannot see him perceiving. Okay. But there will be the rare person who can see the great forces with which the Sentinel is working, and that act with and through the Sentinel as one. And this is represented here in the image of the wolf. The wolf and the Sentinel work together. And my friend Alex, we had a discussion about the wolf too. And I liked what she said. She said that for her, a lot of us use the lion to represent the evolved spirit, the spirit of the evolved human being. And she said that she really, really loved the wolf for the spirit of the evolved human being. And excuse me, that made a lot of sense to me, because wolves are so close to dogs who live with humans, support us, and love us unconditionally. But there's a nature to the wolf as well, which is wild and, loving and supportive of its pack, with the will, courage, tenacity, and capability to defend itself, to attack when necessary, to protect its loved ones, to savvy the natural cycles. And the Sentinel and this element act as one. So another way of viewing the Sentinel energy, although it can be present, of course, in human beings, humans can embody this. But another way of looking at it is that it's sort of like the divine that protects us. I remember reading a story, and I don't remember where I read it, but it was in one of the spiritual stories I've read, many stories I've read over the years. And I believe it was from a blog in India. And the person was writing about a character, and I won't go into the long story because I also don't remember the long story. But I remember the key aspect of that. Some great thing had happened, and there was, of course, some attack, and this virtuous Indian man was running through the forest, and he was wanting to protect the earth and protect the mother. And he yelled out to the mother and to the earth, "I will protect you, and I will do it this way and that way." And he was speaking in the moment. He was speaking purely from his human, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do this for you. And suddenly, like, the ground shakes, the forest shakes, and he's like thrown to the ground, and this presence is above him of this incredible female presence. This voice speaks to him. And the voice says to him, "How dare you think that you can protect me? I protect you." Oh my goodness. It was incredible. And it's a story that has given me so much insight. Through the present day, I have realizations thinking about that story, that the earth can take care of herself, that the earth is a representation of a divine force. I mean, think about human beings. Our body temperature is 98.6. If we vary even a few tenths of a degree from that, we start to feel bad, okay? If we vary a degree from that in either direction, we're ill. okay? And I say that in the space of sacred discharge imbued by the violet flame. I'm not trying to create here, and neither am I creating with that statement. I'm simply telling a story, okay? I'm simply speaking without any charge to the energy, okay? But what I do want to focus on is the miracle that we live on this big blue ball hurtling through space. And the earth is able to maintain itself in a temperature range that is perfect for humanity, and that human beings are able to maintain our bodies at this temperature range. It is a divine miracle. Okay? The earth has existed for 4.8 billion years. She is going to be fine. And that insight just hit me so strongly over the past 2 weeks from different experiences I've had and thinking about them and just letting these insights, bubble up from my unconscious and subconscious into my conscious mind. Because the Sentinel protects her as well. She embodies that as well. Okay, so that's the third aspect of the Sentinel, a sense of mission. And that mission is fully embodied at the soul level. The Sentinel fully embodies their soul purpose. And that leads us to the fourth mastery of the Sentinel, their senses. He or she is able to hear, see, perceive, know even slightest changes in their environment and what that would mean for what they are watching and even guarding. And the other thing about the Sentinel is that the Sentinel trusts their senses. They trust their mission. They trust their knowing. They trust that they have the power, the will, and the strength to wait. And the faith to do these things, but yet the Sentinel's energy is beyond all that. It's trust beyond trust and faith beyond faith, because the Sentinel embodies the divine element so fully and so completely that there's almost not even a need and not even a word to speak about that. There's certainly not any doubt that could plague a human being. When one embodies the Sentinel role, there's simply no room for that. It can't exist in an environment where the divine connection is one-to-one. It's just incredible. So this is the energy that is in the chart, and the blue of connection with God, the Most High, the Creator of the universe, the ability to connect individually, purely, clearly with your own soul, to pray and have a knowing of answered prayers, of that coming for you, of that maybe even coming to fruition now in ways you can experience or that you can feel, that you have a knowing of, that you don't need to see the results of yet in the real world, but you know it's there, and it's there for you. The Sentinel is an honorable role, and it's a role that one is simply born into, or an energy they are born in or with. There's another image that came up as I was working on the script and the text for the video and the themes for the video. And that was this image. This beautiful girl. And I don't like to use children in my content, usually. And the reason that I don't use children is to protect the concept of the innocent child. And because there are so many essentially bad elements out there, especially on social media, that hide themselves. However, I really wanted to share this girl with you because of her spirit and energy. Now, let me show you something. This girl is sitting in the deep, she's the inner child in the forest. She is sitting in the deep, dark woods. Do you see how the trees themselves care for her and how much they love her? Her inner light is undeniable, gorgeous and beautiful. She is unafraid. She is so unafraid that looking at her, you feel that the idea of fear even has never crossed her mind, because her inner light is so strong, so complete in its knowing of divine innocence and of its embodying divine innocence. And there's something about this little girl that many of you already know intuitively, but what I wish to share with you. There is no way that a force of darkness would approach this child, because anyone that does will suffer the wrath of the sentinel that protects her.